Climate change happens globally, but also with local consequences, especially if you own property in a flood zone. Another consequence is the campaign against Liberty Mutual, a Boston-based company insuring a coal mining project by an Indian company in Australia. There's still plenty of demand for coal around the world, but more insurers are avoiding the coal industry. To tell us about the campaign and a recent action in Boston is the energy finance campaigner with the Rainforest Action Network, Elana Sulakshana. Thank you very much for being with us, Elana.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, talk about climate change and insurance, because what this seems to be about here is one insurance company, probably not the only one, insuring the fossil fuel industry and at the same time asking people to pay more money for climate change.
Yep, exactly. You've got it. Most people don't think about the insurance industry as a key player in the story of climate change, right? We think about fossil fuel companies or some governments or maybe banks if we're thinking a little harder about it. But insurance really underpins the fossil fuel economy. Without insurance, no new pipeline carrying tar sands oil from Canada or fracked gas well or coal mine can be built. So I am part of a campaign called Insurer Future that is mobilizing to get U.S. insurance companies out of the fossil fuel sector. And as you said, the insurance industry faces climate change, right? They're insuring against the catastrophic events caused by climate change. They are jacking up prices for people that live in flood zones or near
and they're
wildfires.
paying out premiums, paying out for damage.
So it's our premiums that they're investing in the fossil fuel industry and driving climate change and thus increasing these disaster events.
This campaign is focused on one proposed mine in Australia. What's so special about it?
Yeah, so the Adani Carmichael coal mine is would be, so it actually hasn't been built yet, but it would be one of the world's largest coal mines in eastern Australia. And there has been a really long struggle against this mine in Australia. So for the last 8 years, Indigenous people, youth, other people across Australia have been fighting this mine. And it's really on its last legs. So more than 37 financial institutions have said that they will not finance the mine because of the carbon impacts. It's just this massive mine that over its lifetime would emit 8 years of Australia's greenhouse gas emissions, or equal to 8 years of Australia's emissions. It also threatens the Great Barrier Reef because of dredging necessary to ship that coal out, and it violates Indigenous land rights.
Now, it sounds as if you're saying you're concerned about emissions from the mine itself, not from the product of the mine.
Well, it is the product, yeah. So if we're thinking about kind of a full life cycle of this coal, where it's going to go, how it's going to be burned, those are the emissions that we're calculating.
Well, the other question is that you wouldn't know it from being around Boston, maybe, in many big cities in the United States, but there are places around the world where population is growing, and if you don't have coal, the lights go out. So, I mean, what do you do about that?
Yeah, so that's what they say. But really, kind of the biggest issue underlying energy poverty or lack of electricity is the fact that people don't have access to the grid. So building all of these coal power plants isn't going to do anything if you're not connecting these people to the grid. And actually, the more cost-effective and easier way to electrify these communities these are generally rural communities is through solar and through microgrids and other renewable means. So coal is not kind of the only solution here. There are really other forms of energy, better forms of energy that are going to be able to provide electricity to people.
I can imagine these alternatives, but on the other hand, can they be done quickly enough to keep pace with the growth in demand? I mean, you talk about countries like India and China, for example. They need coal now. They can't wait 10 years for somebody to put a different connection in.
Yep, yeah, I'm saying we can't shut off all the coal mines overnight, certainly. But these smaller scale microgrids and community and household solar are actually much quicker solutions than coal mines and coal plants, which, just given this one example, can take many, many years to build. This is the Adani Group, an Indian company, actually has been building this or attempting to build this for more than 8 years. And they actually last fall said that they're going to self-finance the mine because they can't find the financing for it. And there's like a shrinking amount of finance that is being invested into coal as banks, private and public banks, increasingly adopt policies restricting coal financing.
Why do you think they're doing it? Because these people are supposed to make money. I don't think they're being philanthropic necessarily. What's driving that?
Yeah, I think a few reasons. The kind of first shift away from coal, or biggest shift, actually started in the US with Bank of America. But Europe has really taken it on, and many banks are restricting finance for other types of fossil fuels as well, because they realize that fossil fuels are not the way of our future. They're not the energy of the future. And we're going to be shifting away. Society will be shifting away, already is shifting away. And they're also facing massive public pressure across the world. Actually, 2 Singaporean banks just announced that they were going to restrict their coal financing because of campaigns from people like you and me that are kind of making their demands heard, that they don't see coal as the energy of the future and that we need to take climate action now.
This has been the news, and we're talking with Elana Sulakshana from the Rainforest Action Network. Elana, I guess the other thing here is about Liberty Mutual. There must be tons of other insurance companies backing coal ventures or other kind of fossil fuel industries. So why pick on Liberty Mutual?
Yeah, so like I said, with increasing number of banks not financing coal, we're now seeing a massive global shift away from coal in the insurance sector. So 15 of the largest insurance companies in Europe and Australia will no longer underwrite or insure coal mines or coal power plants, and many of them have plans to get off coal altogether. So we have these 15 companies that have policies saying that they will not insure the Adani Carmichael coal mine. We have a US company, FM Global, that has said that they're not going to get involved with this project. It's not the type of project that they do. And then Australian insurance companies, at least one that doesn't have a policy yet, has said, nope, this project is too risky, destructive, we're not going to get involved. So when we look at this kind of list of major players in the insurance industry and those in the energy sector and operating in Australia, it doesn't leave us with very many, and Liberty Mutual is at the top of the list. Well,
today you tried to send a message with a protest. What was that like?
Yeah, we did. We showed up outside of Liberty Mutual's headquarters here in Back Bay. We dressed up in Statue of Liberty costumes. We brought out a billboard truck to make sure every single person walking into the building knew why we were there. We flyered to employees as they entered work because we just wanted to let everyone know what Liberty Mutual might be involved in. These types of deals aren't typically known kind of across the company or talked about. I think insurance has really flown under the radar when it comes to climate change. So we wanted to educate people within the company and then also the public about the role that Liberty Mutual has in driving climate change.
How did you feel this way? Do you feel that this is the sort of thing that has any effect? I'm not sure that Liberty is going to change anything it does today, but if you look at what various companies have done in recent years, do these public campaigns really matter that much? They
do, yeah. So yeah, I don't think tomorrow I'm going to wake up and Liberty Mutual will say, oh, we're getting out of coal altogether. But this is the first step in building public awareness, and letting the insurance company know who we are and what our demands are. We've actually tried to correspond with Liberty Mutual 10 times since last July, so July 2018. We have asked for a dialogue about their climate policies. We've asked them various questions, really just wanting to know more, hear where they're coming from, and they have not even responded with a cursory acknowledgement of our letters and our emails.
I have to ask you about some of the other factors involved in climate change, because you're with an organization that has to do with rainforests. Now, people in Boston say, rainforest, that's the other side of the planet. Why should we worry about that? Why should we?
Yeah. So rainforests are amazing, amazing carbon sinks. And so these beautiful ecosystems take in a lot of the carbon in the world. And when we deforest them, we are oftentimes violating indigenous rights, the people that live in these communities. There are all sorts of issues related to exploitation. A lot of times these rainforests are cut down for plantations or other forms of agriculture or livestock. And then kind of another key piece of it is the climate impact of deforestation, which is massive. We need to keep our forests standing, and we need to keep fossil fuels in the ground.
You also mentioned barrier reefs in Australia. Why is that such a big problem?
Yeah, so the Great Barrier Reef is already threatened by climate change, by coral bleaching, which happens as the acidification in the ocean increases. And so this mine and kind of what the associated shipping from the mine, so the coal is actually slated for export. And so to get that coal out, it has to go through the Great Barrier Reef, and that requires dredging near and around the reef. And that will further destabilize the really beautiful, unique ecosystems of the Great Barrier Reef.
Okay, and finally, you should mention you got a website people can check out for more
Yes.
information about your campaigns?
Yes, check us out at insureourfuture.us. That's insure with an I, ourfuture.us.